On their short well, when I go now, I go to the front.
Live?
Home without a paycheck.
Believe so.
But he still paid for a hotel room.
They showed
Well, I
you.
mean,
There we go.
He still has this.
Good afternoon, everybody. Today's December 3rd. We're here for the Yuma County Planning and Zoning Commission meeting. Before I get started, I'm going to read some housekeeping rules. If you parked in the rear employee gated parking lot, please immediately move your car to the front north parking lot to avoid having your car locked in. There is no public ingress from the hallway to the south parking lot. The only public entrance to the building is through the north entrance rear auditorium. All access to the DDS building is limited to staff only as a security precaution. If you wish to speak at the podium, we ask you to please sign in the sheet at the table by the rear door. Before you speak at the podium, please state your name and address for the record. Please address the chairman and do not speak to the audience or staff. If you have handouts to give to the commission, please give them to administration staff to distribute. If you show information on the overhead projector, please give it to the staff to become part of the permanent record. Restrooms and drinking fountains are down the hall behind this meeting room. Please feel free to use the facilities as needed. No food or beverage other than water are allowed in this meeting room. Yeah, thank you. Can I get a roll call, please?
Scott Mulhern,
Here.
Ron Rice,
Here.
John McKinley,
Here.
Tim Bowers, Danny Bryant,
Here.
Matias Rosales,
Here.
Alicia Zermano,
Here.
Gary Black,
Here.
Wayne Idy,
Here.
Paul White.
Here.
Chairman, you do have a quorum.
Thank you. Can we please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, item number 3, approval of the Planning and Zoning Commission regular meetings minutes of October 22nd, 2019. Did everybody get a chance to review those?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve those minutes.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second by multiple parties. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any against? Okay, motion passes. Item number 4, special use permit case number 19-06. Staff?
Thank you, Chairman Rosales, members of the commission, Juan Leal Rubio, Planning and Zoning Division Senior Planner. This is a special use permit case number 1906. This is a special use permit per sections 61103B, J, and K of the zoning ordinance to allow an RV as a caretaker's residence, a tire repair shop, and unscreened storage of tires on a parcel 14,550 square feet in size, zone local commercial C1. The property is located in the Foothills Planning Area at 10376 East North Frontage Road in Yuma. This is a site plan, an aerial map. It shows the subject parcel, parcel 403, zone C1. And within 300 feet of the property, we have to the north, in the east and west, property zone MHS 10, residential, mixture of site-built homes and manufactured homes, Fortuna Heights number 4. To the east, we have the Las Quintas Oasis RV Park, zone RVP. And to the west, we have properties within Los Amigos subdivision, consisting of manufactured homes and RVs, zone RVS. And to the west, we have parcels 311 and 312. 311 is vacant, 312 is the location of the clubhouse for Los Amigos subdivision. This is a site plan that was provided by the applicant. Here we show the existing improvements. which includes a 30 by 48 shade, an office, and a septic tank and parking areas. These are some of the requirements that will have to be met if this special use permit is approved. They'll have to maintain a 20-foot buffer on the north side because it abuts a residential district. They'll have to maintain a 15.4 buffer on the east side and a 10-foot buffer on the south side along the frontage road. They'll also have to maintain a 10-foot buffer on the west side. So what you see here in white is the buildable area, maintaining the buffer yards that are required per the zoning ordinance. Additionally, in process, the county is in the process of negotiations with the property owner to acquire what you see here for future right-of-way expansion. This is a picture of the property looking north with the existing improvements. This is a view looking northeast at the subject property. This is a view looking north along Pearl Avenue. And this is a view looking west from the subject property. We received, staff received several comments regarding this case. We received comments from MCAS, the City of Yuma, and we also received calls from 10 people that are Yuma County residents, not that they do not live within 300 feet of the subject property, but just residents of Yuma County expressing support of this proposal. And I also received a call from a resident of Los Amigos subdivision expressing opposition. Staff is recommending denial of this proposal. If the board approves this special use permit, staff recommends attaching the following conditions, operational conditions. Number one, that the approval of the site plan of the special use permit is based on the site plan provided by the applicant. Any changes to the site plan will require approval by the plan director pursuant to the Yuma County zoning ordinance. The hours of operation shall be limited to Monday through Saturday from 8 to 6 p.m. The outdoor storage of tires shall not exceed maximum 6 feet in height. Number four, that all required permits shall be finalized within 6 months of approval by the board, or the special use permit shall expire pursuant to the zoning ordinance. That all structures and improvements shall be in compliance with the ADA regulations, and that vehicular access to the subject property shall be restricted to Pearl Avenue in accordance with Yuma County Public Works standards. And the following performance conditions, that the owner shall submit an ARS 121134 waiver, a navigation disclosure statement within 60 days of approval by the board, and that within 60 days of approval by the board, the owner shall construct a masonry wall 6 feet in height along the north and east property lines, and that within 60 days of approval by the board, the owner or applicant shall provide the following: A water supply for manual firefighting within 500 feet of the furthest point of the stored tires. B, where the bulk of volume stored material is more than 333 square feet at a maximum 6 feet height. A firmly anchored fence or other approved method of security that controls unauthorized access to the storage yard shall surround the storage yard. C, the fence shall be constructed of approved materials and shall be not less than 6 feet in height and provided with gates at least 20 feet wide. D, gates to the storage yard shall be locked when the storage yard is not staffed. E, gateways shall be kept clear of obstructions and be fully openable at all times. F, buildings or structures shall be provided with portable fire extinguishers in accordance with Section 906 of the Building Code. Field fire vehicles operating in the storage yard shall be equipped with a minimum of 2 A20BC rated portable fire extinguishers. And number four, within 60 days of board approval, the owner applicant shall register as a used tire site with ADEQ if storing 100 tires or more and comply with ARS requirements. And that concludes staff's presentation. Ready to entertain any questions.
Mr. Chairman,
Go ahead.
Back to the original map you had, the site plan, please.
Big site plan.
Okay, and the square footage of that drawing right there was 14,000 something, 14,500, is that correct?
Are you referring to the existing building?
The whole layout that you have right there. The lot.
I'm sorry, Commissioner, you're asking the lot size is 14,550 square feet.
Bring up the, your requirements for
The buffering requirements?
and
Okay, so the buffering requirements, yes. The buffering requirements on north side is 20 feet. On the east side is 15.4 feet. On the south side is 10 feet. On the west side is 10 feet. And the negotiation for the acquisition of right-of-way currently in process is 38.5 feet with a 25-foot chamfer.
okay, without the county's involvement, what is the square footage left?
The buildable area? Are you referring to the?
Yes.
Okay, that would be,
Okay, we don't need to be exact about that, but also then now the county, what stage of progress is that? As far as them obtaining the purple portion there? What I'm getting at is, how much is really gonna be available if the county?
yes, Chairman Rosales, yes. That is one of the reasons why staff is not giving a favorable recommendation, because it's very limited. The buildable area will be very limited. The only way of this being able to work if the special use permit is granted is through the issuance of variances. So the applicant will have to apply for a variance or variances to be able to develop the property.
One more question, Mr. Chairman, and they are in violation now of zoning requirements?
Yes, yes. The tire shop is currently in operation, and the improvements that are existing were done without building code requirements or building permits.
So there was no business license pulled for the tire shop either?
There is no business license process in Yuma County.
They needed to obtain a special use permit before they established their use. So there is an active zoning violation case currently pending the outcome of the special use permit.
And this process is being done in hopes of fixing that issue that they're out of compliance. That's why we're here, trying to see if we could get this approved to put them in some kind of agreement if it gets approved and with all the conditions and so forth.
Yes, and I'm sorry, Chairman Rosales, to answer Commissioner McKinley's question, the buildable area, it's around 8,500 square feet.
After the right-of-way and with the buffer
That
zone,
is excluding the right-of-way.
excluding.
Yeah, if the county were to purchase the right-of-way, then it would be a lot smaller.
I guess that's what the commissioner was trying to get at.
Yes.
Because even with the,
Application doesn't include the acquisition of right-of-way.
because when you do get the right-of-way, you still need that 10-foot buffer zone from that right-of-way forward. And so you're taking quite a big chunk of the lot.
Mr. Chairman,
Yeah, go ahead.
so if they get this, even though they get some variances, this isn't really what the site plan is gonna look like, is it?
The site plan will have to be modified.
And there's no RV identified.
The current site plan does not show the RV and other structures that are currently existing on the property. The applicant is aware that they will have to give us a revised site plan to ensure that it shows what they're proposing.
Mr. Chairman, to follow up on Commissioner White's comment about the site plan, item number 1 in the operational conditions will need to be stricken because that's not the site plan. The current site plan will not meet standards once right-of-way and if any future variances are approved by the Board of Adjustment. So they'll have to submit a new site plan.
Mr. Chairman, question. in the buffer zone where it shows an office and septic tank, is that allowed in a buffer zone?
I'm sorry, what was the question?
Okay, in a buffer zone on the east side there, it shows an office, a septic tank. Would that be allowed in a buffer zone?
No, Chairman Rosales, Commissioner, the only activities allowed in the buffer yards are like walk areas or retention basins. They cannot have any activities that are part of the use of the property. They cannot build any structures.
Nor a septic tank.
Utilities,
Is it under, it's gonna be.
yeah, it's underground. I believe that it
It's
allows for
underground.
utilities, so the septic would be allowed.
I gotta ask, where did we get 15.4?
That's a calculation based on the zoning ordinance. It allows certain leeway for properties that are not big enough maybe to accommodate a proper buffer. So the ordinance allows, and that's what it
That's what
came
it
out to.
calculated to, okay.
Mr. Chairman, I don't think I remember us ever doing this in the past. Caretakers residence, are there limitations on occupancy?
No.
No?
Yeah, Chairman Rosales, Commissioner White, if the space use permit is granted, I mean, I believe the applicant or the owner wants to hook up an RV. So the RV will have to meet setback requirements, but the RV itself doesn't require a permit, and it is intended for caretakers.
The application specifically states that they are applying for a recreational vehicle as a caretaker's residence. So if in the future they decide to put in a manufactured home, something that's over 400 square feet, or maybe a site-built structure as a caretaker's residence, it will require another special use permit.
Chairman,
Yes.
is the current office with restrooms, is that mobile or is that site built?
As far as I can recall, it is not a structure that's affixed to the ground. I believe it does not meet any kind of codes. It doesn't have foundation.
But it's mobile at this time?
It's just like a little portable unit.
Okay, thank you.
Is the applicant the owner of the property or the applicant leasing the property? Or
The owner is here, and they are the owners of the property. They're not leasing.
both applicant and owner the same? Okay. Any further questions? This time I'll open it up to the public and the applicant, if you guys would like to step up and comment. Applicant?
We have used this in the past for the special use permit, the expectation that they're gonna give us a site plan.
My name is Lourdes Zamudio, and he's my husband, Juan Mercado. We're the owners of that property. We bought the property. We're still paying it, but we bought it, but we're still paying it.
When you bought the property, was the shade structure and that building already there, or you guys installed that?
No, when we bought it, it was completely empty, like the owner that sold it to us never did nothing to it, it was empty. We cleaned it up ourselves.
Anyone have any questions for the applicants?
I do. Do you guys understand the restrictions that are in here? That you're really not gonna have any room to build and put anything with all these buffer zones.
Yes, Your Honor, and Mr. Rice, like, I know county wants to purchase part of it, right? And that's gonna take us room. But what can we do? They said even though we don't buy or accept their offer, they're still gonna take it. What can we do? They're still gonna take it, regardless if we agree to sell them or not. They said we'll go to court, and then they're still gonna take it from us.
And that,
In regards to the conditions that staff has spelled out that would be required to be done in the 60 days, 90 days, and the 6 months, are you guys accepting all those conditions, or is there something that
We're
you
willing
see?
to work, what it takes, we'll do it. And we really appreciate for you guys to give us the opportunity to be here and you know, and ask for the special permit. I mean, we're so glad that you at least, you know, gave us the chance, the opportunity to come here and ask you for that. This is our only support. We work there, my husband and me and my older son, we work there. This is a family small business, you know. We don't have no workers. It's just us, a small tire shop, and we work so hard. We have had it for maybe almost 5 years. I mean, not in this place, but we used to rent from another guy there in Foothills, and you know, we work there and rent from this guy, and you know, we never really had a problem. But then he sold his property, so we had to move, and in a short period, so we were, you know, looking where we can do our tire shop, because that's our only, you know, income that we have to support our kids. And this opportunity came, this opportunity of buying this property. When we purchased, you know, we were like green to it. So we told the seller, do you think, you know, is this a commercial? He said, yeah, it's a commercial. And he's like, I told him, do you think we can do our little business here? He goes, you can do whatever you want because it's commercial. So we really trust his word. By us, him stating it was a commercial, we figured out, you know what, we can maybe do it. And then time passed and we didn't have no problems. So we thought everything, you know, is good until the city or county came and they said, no, you guys are not right here, you know. But I mean, I understand and respect your conditions. And I just want us to ask you for the opportunity to work. Like, tell us what we need to do and we'll do it. Just give us time and we'll do it because we need our income. We need our job. You know, that's the only thing we know how to do, work hard. And I know a lot of people support us in Foothills. They like us a lot. They call us more like the neighborhood tire shop because, you know, whatever we can do to help them. If they have a tire that goes flat, we'll help them. There's big old tires over there, but you know, they won't fix a flat. They wouldn't do that. So we help people to get around. Sometimes they don't have money and we can sell them a used tire. We'll go and do it, you know, whatever it takes to help. So I don't think we're harming no one, you know. When they came up to us and say, you know what, you're around these people and you cannot do your business here because you're around residential. But then me and my husband start talking, you know, we don't think we'll harm nobody because we have a propane place here, a propane over there, and I think maybe that's kind of a little worse than our tire shop, you know, a propane. So that's why we said, let's try it. Let's go and speak and say we need the opportunity. We need our tire shop, you know, whatever it takes. I know they're putting a lot of requirements, and I know your question. It is going to be very hard for us because we don't have money. But if you give us the time to work and, you know, we'll make it work. They're telling us that we have to put like a wall, big fence around it. That's gonna cost a lot of money. Right now we have fence. Everything is private, everything is fenced. And my husband even put like something through the fence so the neighbors won't see us and we don't see them and they're private. He put some things, you know, so the fence is really fenced. It has, plastic? Like a plastic. So everything is fenced and you know, private. But if you want us to put a wall, you know, we can get up.
You said you were here 1 year at this location.
Yes,
At the other location, you were there for 4 years?
yeah, we were inside, yeah, we have here for like a year and a half, and we were like maybe 3 years and a half on Ross Waite.
Okay. And at that location, did you ever have any interaction with the county in regards to what needed to be done over there?
While we were inside Ross Waite property, we never had a problem. We always, you know, work, and that's why we thought, you know, maybe now if we buy our own stuff, and maybe it's gonna be even easier for us. We thought that way. If we were over there and we never had no, you know, issues. If we buy our own little property, I think it's gonna be better for us instead of be renting from him all the time, or because then, you know, he used to rent us in 2 places, different Ross Waite. We never had a problem inside Ross Waite property.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman?
Go ahead.
So do you realize that if this is approved and you meet all of the conditions, that you're going to have a very limited space to work in?
Yes, Mr. Meno, and you know what? We don't have like a lot of customers, you know, like, we're just, like I said, a humble little tire shop. We don't have like a lot of customers that, you know, that there are a lot of people in our, you know, we just get one, and he fix it, and maybe another one, and he fix it, and like that. We don't have like a lot of people like
You don't
in
need
there.
a-
No, never.
You don't need a staging area. You fix your tire and people leave. You don't.
Yeah, right, correctly, yeah. People come, they don't, sometimes they don't even like get off their cars, you know, they're like, hey, can you fix that tire? Okay. And they go and they're right there and go, like, they don't even ask for a restroom. They're just like, you know, hey, you know, patch me that tire, okay, and bye. It's just like that, like, not like Bigo that you see a lot of RVs in Bigo or a lot of people there, you know, like big fancy tire shop like Walmart or, oh, no, nothing like that, you know.
All right.
It's,
Any additional questions from anyone?
Yes. How many tires do you store on your property?
we have like on the back where you don't see them, like very well, like maybe 500, and you can't see them because they're very well, like I said, my husband, he built a fence and he covered, like, no one can see that. But then in the front, you can see some stacks there, which he can put away. If you don't want to see them, like, we can just put them away, like some stack in the front, like inside. If you don't want them there.
I'm asking because I'm looking at this requirement, performance condition number 4, that says if you have more than 100 tires stored, they have to meet ARS 44-1304.01. What does that mean?
Chairman Rosado would like to relay that question to our environmental programs manager, George Amaya.
Hi, George. The reason I'm asking this question is this is another condition that you would have to meet because you have more than 100 tires. So I want to make sure we all understand what those conditions are, George.
Yeah, we're thinking more or less, you know, 500. We don't.
It's
more than 100.
It's more than 100.
More than 100.
It's more than
that's
100. So más de 100, pues.
That's a matter of-
What would be the condition there?
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, Georgia Mountain, Yuma County Environmental Health. The used tire storage requirements include setbacks from property line, max tire height storage, max grid tire storage, fire extinguishers, access routes, and designated waste tire storage within the facility.
So is there anything that ARS 44-1304.01 requires that isn't required by the other performance conditions? Because those were covered. What, is it one and the same?
Building safety included the fire extinguishers, which is included in this ARS 1304. Aside from that, it's really dependent on how they want to store their tires on site, given that it's 100 or more used tires. Essentially, the applicant would have to submit to the state, pay registration fees if approved, subject to inspection from the state.
So that's not an enforcement that Yuma does. That's an enforcement that the state.
It is a state function once registered. However, if not, Yuma County does have a delegation agreement with the state ADQ, and part of that delegation includes the illegal disposal and storage of tires.
Thank you, Jordan.
Mr. Chairman, I had a question also, probably of staff, like with what property they'll end up with after the road takes some of it away. Can staff predict what the parking requirements are going to be for this? What the property that's left?
Chairman Rosales, Commissioner White, it's really going to depend on the size of the shade structure where they're going to be repairing the tires. It's really based on the size, and it's done on a per ratio calculation of parking requirements. The applicant has stated to me that he may end up building a smaller shade structure to have more space and less parking requirements.
If the applicant, all the conditions that we put, is willing to do that, what is the major recommendation for denial that staff sees for that recommendation? I mean, if they're willing to do everything and so forth, what's the biggest opinion from staff why we're recommending denial on your end?
The reason that staff is recommending denial is because this use is not really compatible with the residential area that, it's abutting to the north, west, and east. The reasons that we stated on the report include that this proposed use will materially affect or endanger the public health, safety, and welfare, and that's because of the activities and the use that takes place on this property. It could affect the residential character of the area. The proposed use, we feel, is incompatible with surrounding land uses, and this use could materially, again, affect the adjoining properties.
So how is that any different from half a mile down at Big O Tires? Being that it abuts also residential, same type of area and so forth.
The type of activities maybe that take place in a Big O Tire, they're mostly done within an enclosed building. I'm not sure. I remember the characteristics of that property. Maybe it's a bigger property. I'm not really sure what the zoning
Probably more of the
surrounding it are.
storage of the used tires, probably.
I'm sorry?
Probably more of the storage of the tires because I don't see them storing.
Correct. And
Yeah.
and it could be that property, again, I'm not sure, I don't know what the zoning is. If it's zone C2, this one is zone C1. It's more of a local.
The
type
zoning is
of
different?
Zoning, yes.
Okay. All right.
Mr. Rosales, can I say something, Mr. Rosales? We do pay taxes from our tire shop. Each month, we pay taxes. And like you're stating, Big O Tires, or the other propane business that are around us, they're all around residential, RV parks from our winter visitors. They're all surrounded like that. That's why it was my question for Juan to like, why us too much restriction when other business also are surrounded residential areas? And another thing I wanted to state is we have winter visitors here that they're customers of us. Believe it or not, a lot of winter visitors, they use our services sometimes more than,
Public will be able to come up in a second
Okay,
right now.
okay.
And,
Thank
and,
you.
and staff did answer that question. The zoning is a big difference. Or C1 to C2 makes a big difference. Unfortunately, your property doesn't have the same zoning that Big O Tires had. That would be one of the bigger
Mr.
factors.
Chairman?
Yes.
Also, and staff will correct me, but I think we did have a lot of issues, or not a lot, with Foxworth and what they had to do around theirs, because they abutted residential, whereas I don't know that Big O abuts residential. The other question I have, staff, then is, if this is denied at the County Board of Supervisor level, what is the enforcement procedure that is then instituted?
Mr. Chairman, like I said, we have an open zoning violation case on the property. The case will proceed to the hearing officer. It will be up to the hearing officer.
What's the
to-
date of that violation? The date of that violation? 3 months ago, 6 months, a year ago?
It's been close to, I'm gonna say about 9 months since it was opened. So the violation case is still active, depending on the outcome of the Board of Supervisors, whether this case gets approved or denied. If it's denied, then the hearing officer will find the property in violation and may impose a civil sanction.
When did the right-of-way discussions begin?
Arturo Alvarez with the engineering department is here. He may have an answer to that question.
Alvarez Engineering Division. As far as the right-of-way acquisition, I don't have that information, but it's on the final stages of acquiring the right-of-way. That's what I know from the right-of-way agent.
So the discussions with the property owner, was it with this property owner or the prior property owner?
As my understanding is with the property owner.
This current property owner, Mr. Muller?
I was not part of the communication with them, but what I was advised is the property owner.
When were you guys contacted in regards to the right-of-way?
I believe August of last year.
Good.
August or September of last year is the first time they sent us the hearing notice to come here.
More than 9 months ago. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Mr.
Any
Chairman.
additional questions?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Staff, do you have a aerial or a satellite of that area?
You can go and have a seat for now.
Yeah, can we see?
Oh, I'm sorry. Hold on.
Mr. Chairman, I do have one more question. Are you aware that if you store more than 100 tires, you have to register with the Arizona Department Environmental Services? If you store more than 100 tires?
They explained that.
Okay.
Well, the easiest thing would be not to have more than 100 tires.
Mr. Chairman, can they state their address for the record, please?
Yeah, your address, please.
It's 10376 East North Frontage Road.
Right, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Teresa? Where's Pearl? There's Los Amigos right there, where my hand is. There's the arrow.
Okay, that's the piece, that's the piece.
Corner parcel?
Where my,
Where that hand is?
where the little hand is, yeah.
Where's the propane that they were talking about?
I believe there's a propane sales operation over here. 10E.
Mr. Chairman, it's to the west, approximately half a mile, and then there's also another one on the south side of Interstate 8.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chairman, another question for staff. Are you sure your little hand is on the right property? You said right to the east was the clubhouse for the
There's,
RV park.
that's the property right there, where the little hand is.
Where's the clubhouse for
Right where the pool's at, next to the east right there.
right there?
Yeah.
I thought then our property in question is where the hand is right now, isn't it?
No, it's to the east.
That's to the west.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
Yes, another question for staff. I'm sure that one of the things considered, would it help his case at all if he had asked for a C2 zoning as opposed to C1, or would all these requirements still apply in a C2 category?
Chairman Bryant, Vice Chairman, sorry. Yes, I mean, even if the property were to be rezoned to a general commercial, the buffer requirements still apply.
So he would face all these barriers, he'd face all of the same kind of things, even if he had the proper zoning.
That is correct. Under the C2, no.
Generally, C1 zoning prohibits outside storage. Is that correct?
Mr. Chairman, C1 prohibits outdoor activities.
Outdoor activities, yeah.
Yes, and the general commercial district, the C2, does allow the tire shop by right. So they will not need a special use permit. The C1 does not. That's why they're applying for a special use permit. But the buffering requirements still apply.
Would still apply.
Correct.
So even if he had chose to go that way as opposed to special use permits, he would still have this limited amount of space to work in. And
But the process would be a lot easier because it's already allowed within it, so.
right, yes, but he'd still have to build the fences, and he would still have to.
That is correct.
The details, yeah.
The cost isn't that much different if he were to start from a C2 perspective as opposed to a C1. The materials that the fence had to be built out of, it would have to be something that was solid and protected, block the view, is that what I understand? Or can it just be a chain link fence?
The screening and buffering requirement of the zoning ordinance allows or requires a 100% obstruction or.
Whether he did that with a block fence or two stages.
Correct.
that
So,
would be his
but
choice.
we're including the wall as an extra protection or a buffering and screening to the residential area to protect to protect the residential area more with a block wall in case there's a fire.
What is the current
But if you're gonna
fence?
do that, there's a whole bunch of other tire shops, you better do that.
What is the current fence on the east of the property constructed of?
I'm sorry?
The fence that's currently on the eastern border of the property, what's that?
Currently, it's chain link.
It is chain link.
That, the special use permit, special use process, remind me if I'm correct, is this for a certain period? We said 10 years or something, or how long would that be good for? When would we have to come back up to renew it, or does it require renewal or no?
Chairman, staff is not suggesting or recommending a time limit for this use.
Okay, I thought that was statute. Okay, that was policy. Okay. Okay. Anyone from the public would like to, if there's no one else from the commission right now, anyone from the public want to comment for or against this project, this request? This would be the time to come up. Please state your name and address for the record when you get to the podium. Thank you.
John Foster. We live at 10,500 North Frontage Road. I've dealt with these people for the past 5 years when they were on the east side of Fortuna, on the west side of Fortuna, and with them locally. And they do good work and satisfied with what they do, and they're handy, and it's quick and simple. And all I can say is they work hard and they do a job.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else from the public?
I live on North Frontage Road at Caravan Oasis, and I go by there constantly, and I've bought a couple tires from that man, and it saved me a lot of money and it had a good service. I don't see a problem with it, but I don't have to live next to it, so I'm for it. That's all I can say.
Your name and address for the record, please. I'm sorry.
Carol Freemantle, 10,500 North Frontage Road.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else from the public? At this time, if it's okay with the commission, I'll ask the applicant to come back up just for the final comments. For staff or?
Question for staff.
Okay, go ahead.
So if I'm understanding correct, the block wall is not required per the ordinance, or is it required? Or is it something that you're suggesting? Is it something that you want?
Commissioner, Chairman Rosales, Commissioner Cermeño, the buffering and screening requirement of the zoning ordinance allows a chain link fence as long as it provides a 100% obstruction. So if they put it as slats in between the chain link fence, that would satisfy the requirement of the zoning ordinance. We're putting this as an additional restriction because, again, to provide additional protection to the residential area. So it's a condition that staff came up with as part of this special use permit.
And would that include the right-of-way area that you guys are planning to take over and then tear down the wall?
No, we are, the condition is for the block wall, masonry wall on the north and the east side, which is where they're abutting the residential area, where the houses are located.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman. This has been in operation for a bit over a year in this residential area. Have we had any complaints from the residential area?
Mr. Chairman, like I said, there's an open zoning violation case that is the result of a complaint that was filed with the county.
There was a complaint filed. Was it multiple or just one? Or do you know? Have we had more than one person complain about the?
Mr. Chairman, I think I received 2 calls concerning this property.
And then the one we have in our packet.
Correct.
And we have one in our packet from the residential area.
Yes, from the lady that lives in Los Amigos.
Right, but I want to clarify, these calls have been received after this was sent out for notices, or these are calls that were received during the year?
Mr. Chairman, the complaints that were that caused a zoning violation to be open are separate and apart from the opposition letter that's in your packet tonight.
Okay, so the opposition is only one that we have in the packet. Calls that you guys have received is what caused or whatever caused the complaint to be opened back a year ago, whatever it was. Okay. Okay, no more questions from commissioners. I'll let the applicant come back up for final comment if you have one, and make it short, brief, please.
Regarding, Mr. Rosales, regarding the C2 that you said, at first, we asked if we can make our property C2, but they suggested to do the special permit. We really wanted to, because we thought maybe it was easier for us, but they said we had to go for the permit.
Probably easier
Mr.
than-
Chairman, I have a question to the applicant and also staff. Does staff know the timeline on the acquisition of the easement for the road?
In the final stages, he said, but I don't know what that means.
Mr. Chairman, that's based on negotiations with our right-of-way division or the engineering department and the property owner. It's, as far as planning staff, we don't have that timeline tonight.
And then, so I'm going to ask the applicant, are you financially capable of meeting the performance conditions, specifically in item 3, which is the water supply, the fencing, the storage area and gates? Are you financially capable of, once, say, the board approved your request, of performing that work?
Yeah, Mr. White, my husband and I were talking about that, and like I said, this is our only income, and we're not rich, as you can see, but we have good credit, like, we can go to a bank and ask them for a loan, but of course, I know the wall is gonna take a lot of money, the block or brick wall that they're requiring. I just thought and hope so that with what we have already, our chain fence, and it's covered, like I said, they can't see us and we can't see either. The way my husband, well, it was already built there when we bought the property, but my husband did some stuff, like put some plastic things so that they cover the fence. It's special for covering the fence so nobody can, you have privacy.
Right.
I really hope we could have that. I mean, it's tall and you can't see the tires because it's a tall fence and, it's everything fenced. So, I mean, I really would hope we don't have to spend that money on the block. But, I mean, whatever it takes for us to keep working hard and keep our small business and one day see it grow and, I really appreciate, whatever you guys can help us in to keep with our income.
One of the things I wanted to bring up, though, because we keep talking about the tires and storage of the tires, especially in a neighborhood like this, it becomes a safety issue and a fire hazard. So I think that's where staff's coming from a lot on the requirements, not just site, but if it's fire started in that, it would be incredible. And I think that's where it's coming. I just wanted to make sure that point was made. Excuse me, I'm very sorry about that. Anyway, there was just a comment.
Yeah, I mean, we don't permit nobody to smoke there. We put a lot of signs, nobody's allowed to smoke there. And, my husband puts, fire extinguishers. We also have the fire extinguisher, the yellow red thing, next door in Las Quintas. I mean, I don't know if we can use that in case of fire. But I mean, we also have not very close, but like I said, a propane place and over there, and I mean,
I think one of the requirements was a fire suppression, what was it exactly? That was fire suppression.
Yeah, well,
Water supply.
for manual firefighting.
Water supply, yeah, okay.
what is the
The fire hydrant, or that would be something they need to put in at the county when they do it right away?
Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, Pat Headington, Building Fire Code officials, yes, we would be looking for a hydrant to be installed somewhere close proximity to the property. Right now, the closest hydrant available along the right-of-way is approximately 1,700 feet from this location.
So is that the one she's saying that's next to Las Quintas, or what is that?
In Las Quintas is one, Las Quintas is next to us, and I told you about that one,
Yes, that's a private fire hydrant.
Oh, it's a
Sure.
private hydrant. That's what they're asking them to put in, a private hydrant. Say. Okay. Okay. Thank you. Yes,
Mr. Chairman, staff, if this were approved by the Board of Supervisors, 60 days to have thousands and thousands of dollars worth of work done, and the work didn't get accomplished, would the enforcement action that's in place stay in place, or would it have to be a new enforcement action if they approved, if the Board of Supervisors approved this special use permit, but the performance conditions weren't met? Would you be operating under the same enforcement agreement, or would you have to start brand new?
Mr. Chairman, if the performance conditions are not met, the special use permit does not vest. They could ask for an extension of time to complete the conditions of approval, but it just depends on whether they can meet those conditions or not within 60 days. They also have a year to meet some of the conditions. However, because of the active zoning violation case, that's going to trigger possibly reopening or continuing the zoning violation case until some of these issues are resolved.
Well, Mr. Chairman, I guess that's where I was gonna be headed at some point. If they're unable to perform something within 60 days because they're waiting on actions by the county, do you have the leeway to add to their deadline?
Mr. Chairman, I have the leeway as a planning director to grant an extension.
Okay, that's what I needed.
If the special use permit is approved, then that's the information that will be taken to the hearing officer for the zoning violation case. So the hearing officer may close the case if the special use permit is approved. However, there are things that could happen after the approval of the special use permit that may bring them back in violation of the zoning ordinance.
Okay.
You do have the option of requiring or granting additional time, or instead of, say, 60 days, you could change that condition to 120 days or 180 days. It's up to the Planning and Zoning Commission to either accept these conditions and make a recommendation, or to modify some of the conditions that staff is recommending.
Ms. Soramo?
Yes.
I was gonna call you Ms. Aguirre.
Mr. Chairman, that's okay.
Yes.
So my question is, in the 60 days that you have listed for meeting these conditions, these are not
For them to do it.
set. They are set by the statutes?
They would be set by the Board of Supervisors if the board approves the special use permit subject to the operational and performance conditions.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, one more round. I'm going to try to get finished this time. But if I understand, if we recommend this got approved and it got approved, the shade structure is going to have to be dealt with. It's doesn't have a permit, and it's going to be in the buffer zone, so that's going to have to all be redone. So there's really nothing on the property that's going to remain. It would be starting from scratch to meet the performance conditions. Is that a fair statement?
Chairman Rosales, Commissioner Bryant, in my site visits to the property, it does not appear that anything has permits on that property. So yes, everything will have to be brought up to code.
And out of the buffer zone.
Correct.
Or they may be able to obtain a variance to encroach into the buffer zones.
Right.
But that requires approval by the Board of Adjustment, additional public hearings.
Right, and that's not, yeah, you're not gonna go, it'll be easier for them to move the stuff, I'm pretty sure. Okay. You said no permits, not even the septic tank has a permit?
I apologize for that. The septic does have a permit.
I was gonna say, someone had to install that.
And is it allowed where it's at?
Got a permit. They got a permit.
They got it, well, under what conditions, I don't know, they got the permit, yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
When the county came to us and said they wanted to purchase that piece and they make us an offer, I said, me and my husband were, saying, well, that money is gonna help us to do what,
Sure.
Oh.
Sure.
So now, county came to us and said that money is not gonna be for us. Since we're still paying our lot, I mean, we're paying it, but the guy that sold it to us, he
Carry in the
financed
note.
it to us, he financed. So they said that money has to go to him.
To pay off some of the debt.
But you'll have equity, so you could go to a bank.
Then you can go get to the loan and all
They
that.
said all that money is gonna be for him.
Sure.
Yeah, but off the debt, I'm assuming, because you're the property owner. That money goes in to pay off your debt for him to release a title, but that means you would have more equity on your property because you don't owe him that much. So you would be able to go get your loan.
Yeah, I said a good way and that way, but it kind of was, you know.
Yeah, I
hard
understand. I
because
understand.
We really need that money.
Right.
And we tried to even tell them, you know, can we just like maybe half and half? But he said, no, he wants all the money. So yeah, that was like something.
Bad
Yeah,
situation
bummer.
there. Okay, right. Thank you. Thank you.
You know, and by the way, you put a great argument on, and honestly, business life is tough, and, you know, I hate to see stuff like this happen and come to us. And I'm almost in favor of giving them an opportunity to meet that. I think they have the heart and the physical agility to probably do this. And
I would agree with you too. I mean, coming from the city of San Luis, where in the past 2 years we've had some businesses that were not conforming as well, and the city staff worked with them, and they're now conforming, and they were able to do it. And again, the small business owners. I mean, my personal opinion is, you know, we have to. I would say that I would also be in favor of allowing them to try if they're willing to try it, and obviously if it's not met, staff is here to monitor and make sure it's being done.
At least we're giving them an opportunity.
Especially in the
is my
situation that we're at, that this was brought up. I mean, the timeframes in the months, 9 months, a year ago, and they got relocated. To me, it's just a bad situation all the way around for them. And it's in operation already. I mean,
Mr. Chairman, I have to take an opposite view. I'm all for people starting businesses, but the number of issues that we've been talking about here for the last 25 minutes, I'm afraid that we'd open up more problems, instigate more issues and problems than we're trying to solve. I mean, I hate to. I'm
No, I
all for
understand
business,
that
but
too.
I'm
I
afraid
do.
we've got a
I
lot
thought
of-
that
lot
also.
of worms in the can here.
Yes, there is.
The worst case, Mr. Chairman, the worst case scenario is that they start dumping all of their efforts into meeting obligations that can't be done.
but that would
I
be
mean,
their choice.
And yes, that could be their choice, as long as they understand and are perfectly clear what those obligations are. They don't want to move a shade structure and then not be able to put a fire hydrant in. I mean, you spend all of the operational money they have, and then they come to those things they can't meet. So it's a difficult decision on what we could do that would best be in the interest of these people. So I asked the applicant one more time, it's going to be thousands and thousands of dollars to put a fire suppression or a fire system in, a water supply, and to build your fences, and you still would like for us to recommend approval?
Yes, sir. Give us an opportunity to work. It's our only income. What else can we do?
Well,
Have you, I'm sorry, go ahead and come back up. Question.
yeah.
Have you talked to an engineer, of a firm that will give you these cost estimates, that way you have an idea what it would cost?
We have customers that they go to our tire shop and people that do different things, you know, and they said they're willing like to help us, you know.
But an actual engineer that will tell you how much the fire hydrant is gonna cost you and so forth, or a plumbing company?
That, no.
Well, are you willing to do that? I think that's the question. I think you are, but we have some
That
people.
is one of the
that
things that you're gonna have to probably do
I think
to,
nothing is impossible. We really want to do it.
I think so.
Nothing's
I think you're
impossible.
right, but I think the biggest hurdle is probably, you're looking at probably a minimum of $25,000-$30,000 just to begin, and then it'll go up from there.
I think it's gonna be worth it.
okay. All right, nothing further, no further discussion?
Mr. Chairman, I'd have a question then of Maggie. Did you want operational condition 1 to say be changed to the approval of the special permit is based on a site plan to be submitted by the applicant and will require approval of the planning director? Okay. And then my thinking is that, I mean, I'm looking at their season. Their busy season is probably January, February, March. If this got approved, the 60 days, they're trying to do business and do some of this stuff, and they've got other problems with whether they're gonna have the road taken. I was gonna recommend on performance conditions 2 and 3, changing 60 days to 120 days. I was gonna vote in favor of it because I think they're trying to operate in good faith, but I think the county has to operate in good faith as well and give them the opportunity to make an effort to do it.
Okay, so you making a motion, sir?
I'll make a motion to approve the request with the change I stated for operation condition 1 and changing performance conditions 2 and 3 to 120 days.
I have a motion.
Second, Todd.
A motion, any further discussion?
Yes. Mr. Chairman, I would like to recommend that condition number 4 be changed from 60 days to 120 days as well.
Was that one of the ones you had suggested?
No, is that a performance or an operational?
It's an operational. It's a registering as a
Mr. Chairman, that's a performance condition.
performance.
You know, I think they need to be
I think that
approved by the state in an appropriate amount of time. That's a state condition, isn't it? I think they need to be registered with the state. It's kind of, but yeah, I mean, I'm happy with it. If you want to do that,
My suggestion for 120 days is that if they haven't met all of these other conditions, it's unlikely that they're going to be able to meet this one.
okay. Yeah, I'm good with that. I'll amend my motion.
We have a motion that's been
I'll still second it.
amended, and then we got a motion that's been second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All against?
Aye.
No.
Could I get a
Let me
poll, please?
Yeah.
Scott Mulhern,
Nay.
Ron Rice,
Nay.
John McKinley,
Nay.
Danny Bryant,
Nay, and let me explain. It's not because I don't want these people to succeed, but I think that there's other commercial property available and places that will cost them less than trying to make this piece work. And with that having said, I reluctantly vote against.
Matthias Rosales,
Yeah, I mean, yes.
Alicia Zermano,
Yes.
Gary Black,
Yes.
Wayne Idy,
No.
Paul White.
Yes?
Motion fails.
Mr. Chairman, the motion has failed. It's up to the commission to make another motion.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we deny the proposal.
I'll second.
Have a motion, have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any against?
Nay.
Nay.
But okay. You roll call again, please.
Scott Mulhern,
Aye.
Ron Rice,
Aye.
John McKinley,
Aye.
Danny Bryant,
I reluctantly vote aye.
Matthias Rosales,
Nay.
Alicia Zermano,
Nay.
Gary Black,
Nay.
Wayne Idy,
Aye.
Paul White.
Nay.
Mr. Chairman, the motion carries 5-4.
Thank you.
Thank you. Can someone please, probably from staff, get with the applicant, explain to them how this went, because I'm pretty sure we're all confused up here then too. All right. Thank you, though. Go ahead and talk to you. Okay. Item number 5, rezoning case number 19-08.
Did we tie on the first one? How
They
did,
voted on the wrong side.
Using here, but.
Katie over there?
Yes, I would, right, it's down that second cabinet. Third or fourth cabinet, I guess.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members
Yes,
of
sir.
the commission. Javier Barraza, presenting rezoning case 19-08. This is a request to rezone a parcel 8.202, approximately gross acres in size, from rural area 10-acre minimum to suburban site build 2-acre minimum and suburban site build 5-acre minimum. The project is located in the Yuma Mesa planning area. on the southeast west corner of the County 13.5 Street and Avenue 7 and 1/4 E, with the intent to create 2 parcels for residential development. The zoning map, vicinity map showing the subject parcel highlighted at the center. That crosshatch chain on the top is proposed to be rezoned to suburban site build 2 acre minimum, and the hatch portion on the south to suburban site build 5 acre minimum. The subject parcel is vacant property in desert terrain, level. It's access on the North Villa County 13.5 Street, which paved from Patton Drive all the way to the northwest corner of the subject parcel and continues the fronting gravel, and on the south via a paved access easement. Parcel number 1 on the north is within the city of Yuma, zone agriculture, desert terrain. Parcel 725-53001 and 725-53002 are zone rural area 10 acre minimum, vacant. Parcel 5 and 6 on the southwest corner are parcel zone suburban ranch 2 acre minimums, vacant parcels. Parcel number 7 on the south is improved with a site built home, zone suburban ranch 2 acre minimum. Parcels 725-54001, 2 and 725-54003 and 4 are property zones suburban ranch 2 acre minimum, improved with a mixture of manufactured home and site built. The subject property is half a mile from Barium Old Water Range. This is the site plan supplied by the applicant with the proposed lot splits. This is an aerial view showing the current road improvements to get to the property. This is a view looking east along County 13.5 Street from the intersection with Avenue 7E. Now looking east along the southern access easement from Avenue 7E. View looking south at the west line of the subject parcel from County 13.5 Street. View looking southwest of the subject parcel from its northeast corner. Looking northwest from the southeast corner. And view looking northeast of the subject parcel from the southwest corner over the easement on the south. Staff received no comments from property owners within the zoning area. Staff recommends approval of rezoning case number 19-08, subject to the following performance conditions. Within 60 days of approval by the board, the owner or agent shall provide an ARS 12-1134 waiver and record the following disclosure statements: infrastructure, navigational, range disclosure, and a schedule for development. Also, the following is scheduled for development. Within 1 year of the board's approval, 25 feet of right-of-way shall be dedicated along the east side, Avenue 7 1/4 E, by means of warranty deed. Number 2, the property shall be split by means of a land division permit in accordance with Section 507 of the Yuma County zoning ordinance. Mr. Chairman, this concludes this presentation, and the applicants are present.
Trying to figure out what that is.
Alarm.
Alarm or fire alarm or earthquake alarm or? Thank you, Steph. Okay. Any questions from commission?
Mr. Chairman, I have a question. Just being a naturally suspicious person, there's no ownership relationship between case 1908 and 1910, is there?
No, sir, there is not.
I'm assuming you did your research. Okay, thank you. I remember we had some of those in the past.
Any additional questions, comments from commissioners? No? This time I'll open it up for the public to speak, or the applicant. No one? No?
If you wish to speak.
Forever hold your peace.
Only if you want.
My name is John Lynn, 13663. We currently own that lot 7, and we've built on that. We purchased that property, 5 or 6, 7 years ago, and we plan on doing the subdivision so we can hopefully get some of her family to buy our lot and move us some family out in that area. So that's the story.
Thank you much. Any questions for the applicant? Nope. All right, thank you. That's it for overhold your peace. Okay, here are no more comments. Bring it back to the commission for a vote. Do I have a
Chairman?
motion? Yes, ma'am.
To open it to the public? That was the applicant.
I said applicant and public. No one else is getting up. I said it going once, going twice. Forever hold your peace. No one came up. I said it before the applicant. All right, coming back to the commission. Do I have a motion?
Chairman.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we recommend approval of rezoning case number 19-08 as presented by staff.
Second. Go ahead, Ron. Pick one you want.
Motion, I have a second. Any further discussion? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any against? Motion passes. Item number 6, rezoning case number 19-10.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman, I need to recuse myself from a rezoning case 19-10. I'm employed by the agent for the applicant.
Not allowed. Noted for the record, please. All right. Staff?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Javier Barraza, Senior Planner, presenting rezoning case 19-10. This is a request to rezone a parcel 10.03 gross acres in size from rural area 10-acre minimum to a suburban site build 2-acre minimum, located in the Yuma Mesa planning area, located on the vicinity of the southwest corner of County 13.5 Street and Avenue 7E. The intent is to create 5 2-acre parcels for residential development. This is the zoning map, vicinity map showing the subject parcel, crosshatched to the center and highlighted. Parcel is accessed on the west via Avenue 7E. It's a vacant and it has a paved road towards the north. A little history on this property, Mr. Chairman, if may I. The subject property was rezoned in 2005 to SSB 2, along with parcel on the north, parcel number 1, under cases 05, rezoning cases 05-70 and 05-71. Then there was subject to a schedule for development to build a subdivision. Tentative map was approved for the Calimaya subdivision. Improvements were built, and they did not file the final plat. Therefore, it was then in 2016 reverted to RA10 for lack of compliance with the schedule for development back then. Parcel number 1 on the north is zone RA10 as a vacant parcel. Parcels 44, 45, 46, and 47 on the west are parcels, property zone, suburban ranch 2-acre minimum, improved with site-built homes. Parcel number 3 on the south is parcel improved with a site-built home, zone suburban ranch 2-acre minimum. Parcels 4, 5, and 6 are vacant parcel, zone suburban ranch 2-acre minimum. Parcel 7 on the southeast is improved with a site-built home, zone suburban ranch 2-acre minimum, and parcel number 8 on the east, zone RA10, vacant. Again, the subject parcel is within approximately half a mile from the Barium Goldwater Range. This is site plan Exhibit A, depicting how the applicant proposes to split the property. This is just a blowout. And now an aerial view, outlining the subject property on this, showing current improvements in the area. This is a view looking northeast of the subject parcel from the southwest corner. Northeast of the property, and access easement on the south. View looking northwest of the subject parcel from the end of the access easement on the south. View looking southeast of the subject parcel from Avenue 7E. View looking east of the paved easement called Mana Place from Avenue 7E. This is just a closer look to show the condition of the paved easement. We received one comment in support from a property owner within the zoning area. Staff recommends approval of rezoning case number 19-10, subject to the following performance conditions. Within 60 days of approval by the board, the owner or agent shall provide an ARS 12-1134 waiver and the following recording of the following disclosure statements: an infrastructure one, aviation, range disclosure, and a schedule for development. Also, the following is schedule for development. Within 1 year of board's approval, the owner or agent shall split the property by means of a land division permit in accordance with Section 507 of the Yuma County zoning ordinance. Mr. Chairman, this concludes this presentation. Applicant and agents are present.
All right, thank you. Any questions from the commissioners, the board? None, seeing none, I'll go and open this up to the public and applicant if they wish to come up and speak for the, anyone? Applicant, public, no one? Going once, going twice, forever hold your peace. Yes, ma'am, please say your name and address.
My name is Felicia Lynn, and I'm the owner of the lot next to it.
Address,
Eh,
please.
Huh?
Your address, please.
Oh, I'm sorry. 13663 South Avenue 7E in Yuma, and I'm across, we bought, like the husband said, across the street from the land that we bought for my sister. Our house is across the street from the lot we bought and is facing north. Maybe it's not a question that I have to ask her, but I just want to, so if the other owners of parcel, what is it? RA10, what is it, right? That next to us, is there a way to know how those houses are gonna face, or is not the time to ask?
Go back to the pre-site plan,
Okay. Probably.
engineering type
Let's see.
plot plan, whatever.
Well, I think the answer is.
They
we-
would
North.
be
we
facing
can-
north.
We can show you how the lots face, we can't tell you how the house is
Yeah.
gonna be built.
The lot's gonna
So
be
you
facing
don't-
north.
you don't-
Yeah.
Okay, I just want to. Okay, thank you so much. Thank you,
Welcome.
everybody.
And now that we have that there, is parcel you can have access? That seems kind of a short roundabout there, or how's that? Or am I looking at this wrong?
Last lot's gonna be tough to.
Probably the one at the end of the cul-de-sac.
I don't see the cul-de-sac reaching parcel E. Unless it's blown out of proportion there, but. It does have access?
They will need to extend that.
That one need to extend it? Okay. Okay. No further questions from the public, applicant? All right, back to the commission. Bring this back for a motion.
I'd like to make a motion to approve rezoning case 19-10.
Second.
I have a motion, I have a second. Any further discussion, comments from the staff, from commissioners? None? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any against? Okay, motion passes. Thank you. Minor amendment case number 2019-MA-02.
Mr. Commissioner,
Yes, sir.
I need to recuse myself from a minor amendment case number 2019 MA-02.
Noted that for that and also item number 8,
Yes.
please.
Mr. Chairman, I would like to also present item number 8.
Go
because they're
for it.
connected.
Let's
Thank
get
you
this
very
out of the
much.
way.
Chairman, Javier Barraza, Senior Planner, presenting now minor case number 2019-MA-02. This is a request to change the land use designation of 7.05 acres of a parcel, 107.81 gross acres in size, from agricultural rural residential to industrial. The project is located in the North Gila planning area, southeast corner of the intersection of the alignments of Avenue 12B and County 8th Street in Yuma, Arizona. The intent is to allow the rezoning of those 7.05 acres from RA-20 to heavy industrial for industrial uses. The land use map showing the parcel number 4. Highlighted in crosshatch is the portion to be amended. Currently, parcel number 4 has a dual land use, the agricultural, rural, residential, and industrial. Parcels 20 on the north, 2, 22, 21, the land uses are local commercial and industrial, while parcels 16 on the west, 24, 6 on the south, and 5 on the east, the land use is agricultural, rural, residential. This is site plan Exhibit A provided by the applicant, highlighting the area of the portion to be amended. An aerial view showing the extent of the parcel, and the blue triangle depicts the location of the portion to be amended. This is a view looking east of the subject parcel from the internal road. This is a view looking north of the subject parcel from the south of the portion. Staff received no comments from property owners. Staff recommends approval based on the following of the amendment will allow for industrial development that is consistent with and does not negatively impact the existing industrial and agricultural character of the area. Number 2, the change will allow for consistent zoning and land use development patterns. Number 3, the amendment will not adversely affect the health or safety of present or future residents. I will proceed to present rezoning case number 19-09. This is the request to rezone of 0.05 acres of a parcel 107.81 gross acres in size from rural area 20-acre minimum to heavy industrial. The project is located in the North Hill Applying area, southeast corner of the intersection of the alignments of Avenue 12E and County 8th Street in Yuma, Arizona. The intent is to allow the rezoning of those 7.05 acres from rural area 20-acre minimum to heavy industrial for industrial uses and a parcel split. Highlighted in crosshair at the center of the map is the portion to be rezoned. It's in desert terrain. Parcel 20 to the north is zoned heavy industrial, is the location of Gawan milling facility. Parcels 21, 22, 2, and 182-21005, owned by Union Pacific, are zoned heavy industrial and rural area 20-acre minimum. Parcels 16, 24, 6, and 5 on the remainder sites of the subject parcels are zoned rural area 20-acre minimum in desert terrain undeveloped. This is the site plan submitted by the applicant depicting the portion to be rezoned. Again, narrow view showing the extent of the parcel. The blue triangle depicts the location of the area to be rezoned. A blowout. This is looking northeast along Highway 95 to the intersection with the Gawan Milling Entrance Road, which is probably the extension of County 8th Street. This is view looking east at that same intersection. Looking northeast of the project site from that interior road. Looking east, closer. Looking north of the project site. I received no comments from property owners. However, received a late comment from MCAS after the finalization of staff report. They were requesting to add a navigational disclosure statement. Staff recommends approval of rezoning case number 19-09, subject to the following performance conditions. Within 60 days of approval by the board, the owner or agent shall provide an IRS 12-1134 waiver, record an infrastructure disclosure statement, record a schedule for development disclosure statement, and would like to add the recordation of a navigation disclosure statement. Also, the following schedule for development. Within 1 year of approval by the board, the owner shall split the property by means of a land division permit in accordance with Section 507 of the Yuma County zoning ordinance. Mr. Chairman, this concludes both presentations.
Thank you. Any questions, concerns, comments from commissioners? None? I'll open this up to the public and applicant. If anyone has questions, comments, I have to go through the spill, otherwise Ms. Castro over here will make sure. Opening to public, everyone? No one? All right, back to the commissioners.
Chairman, since the applicant didn't come forward, I'll ask staff, do you know what they're going to use the 7 acres for? It's a secret.
You need a non-disclosure agreement, NDA.
Heavy industrial.
You don't care.
It's a secret.
Okay, do we have a motion?
Move to approve both items.
Second.
We need separate motions.
Okay, I move to
What if we wanna
approve the
do one for
minor.
both? What if we want to do one for both? I want to see what she replies. See, she's boss. I got a boss back.
Send him to the corner.
Sir, go for it.
I move to approve the minor amendment.
Which one?
Second. I mean, I'll second.
Wasn't the
minor
second one a
amendment.
zoning?
One's one for each, so which
Second
one?
one was zoning. I'm just doing the minor.
Okay, all right. There you go. All right, got you there. Oh, that's why you want for each. Now I get you, see? All right. I got a motion. I got a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. And against? All right. Motion passes.
Mr. Chairman, would you accept a motion on the rezoning,
Second.
1910 or 1909?
99. Okay. I got a motion. I got a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Against? All right. Motion passes.
Now you can vote.
Thank you. All right. Item number 9, request to initiate text amendment of the zoning ordinance section. I want to because I have to be in San Luis at 7:30, so make this quick, people.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is a request to initiate an amendment to the Yuma County zoning ordinance, sections 1107.00. The proposed amendment would change sections 1107.01A4 Add sections 1107.01, C and D, amend section 1107.03, and amend sections 1107.04 and 1107.05, and add sections 1107.06 and 1107.07. The intent or the proposed amendment would add additional requirements for applicants who make who file applications for temporary use permits for certain activities pursuant to the Yuma County zoning ordinance. This discussion or the proposed amendment was presented to the board, and the board did direct staff to send it to the Planning Commission for discussion and action as far as initiating a text amendment. In your packet, there's also the staff report or memorandum that includes the sections in strike-through format for those changes that are proposed to be deleted, and text that is in bold font is new text that is proposed to be added to the zoning ordinance.
Just wondering why all staff left when you brought up this text amendment. I mean,
They just left.
they left you hanging here, girl.
Mr. Chairman, the rest
You
of
got
the rest of the items are mine, or I will be presenting.
Okay. All right. Anyone see any issues, any concerns, questions?
Did you, Maggie, did you say this board has already seen this proposed text? And-
Yes, Mr. Chairman, the board did have an opportunity to review the proposed changes. If the Planning and Zoning Commission initiates the amendment tonight, it will be advertised for a public hearing, and then it will come back to the board as the actual text amendment to the zoning ordinance, which will then be forwarded to the Board of Supervisors.
Right, so tonight we initiate the text amendment, hold a public hearing for comment, it could be altered at that time. Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, once it's initiated, it cannot be altered.
No changes can be made.
Correct. If the commission
could-
wants changes to what's being presented tonight is the time to make those changes.
So the public gets an up or down comment, but can't request that we change things. It's going to go forward to the board or not, once after tonight.
Unless it starts all over with the changes.
We would have to start all over if changes are made after the amendment is initiated.
Does public get a chance to comment tonight?
The agenda was posted and it was sent to interested parties and stakeholders. It was not advertised in the newspaper because it's not an actual amendment at this time.
Further questions, concerns?
You taking a motion?
Sir, Mr. Black?
I would make a motion to initiate what am I trying to say, a text amendment as such.
Item number 9.
Yes.
I'll second that, whatever it was.
Second for item number
Turn it
9.
on, I'm sorry.
All right, any further discussion? All in favor? Say aye. Any against? All right.
Whatever that ran.
Motion passes.
Mumbling.
Item number 10, action to amend the initiation of a text amendment to the subdivision code. See, this is an amendment to the initiation. Regulations for lot types and recorded subdivision discussions concerning amended DDS fee schedule to adopt a fee for processing the lot type map. Have a motion to approve?
Joe isn't here tonight.
Yeah, is this was one Joe Early brought to us, right?
Yeah, this is for the fees part of it that we went back, right?
Mr. Chairman, yes, the commission has had previous discussions on this item and did initiate an amendment to the zoning ordinance. However, there was a text that was left out of the original language that was presented to the to the Planning and Zoning Commission. Additionally, after the text amendment was initiated, we did receive additional information as far as what how the zoning ordinance should be amended, and that's what's being presented to you tonight. It's either adding the language that is in your staff report, your memorandum dated August 15th, and there's a language that is highlighted in yellow. That's the language that was left out of the original text amendment that was initiated, or the commission could also choose to initiate what's on pages 2, 3, and 4 of your memorandum, which is the new language that was submitted to us for review and possible amendment to the zoning ordinance. The new language requires additional things to be submitted for a lot time map. The original language simply required a site plan, and it was only for lots that were in recorded subdivisions. The new language, which is on pages 2 and 3, will require a lot time maps for lots that are in recorded subdivisions or just parcels that are not within recorded subdivisions. So it's up to the Planning Commission tonight to amend the text amendment that was initiated with either the language in yellow font on page 1 of your memorandum, or the language in bold font on pages 2 and 3 of your memorandum.
Does staff have a preference?
Chairman, it's up to the commission to initiate the.
As a
the
practical
amendment.
matter, I thought
Mark
maybe
Maggie.
staff would have an opinion.
Chairman?
These become issues.
I think that it would be more practical to have sections 711 and 712, because the initial lot time map is dealing with subdivisions versus a parcel standing on its own, correct?
Yes, the original language that was initiated only applied to lots within subdivisions.
Then we still have the
The
problem.
new language will apply to both lots in subdivisions and lots that are, or parcels that are not in
Wasn't that what
subdivisions.
Mr. Worley wanted, for it to be both subdivision and?
Yeah, I think-
subdivided, right?
Yes.
I think
That was
we
what the
need
big
that,
issue was, so
yeah.
that's why, I don't know why we have first option and two options. Okay. Do I have a motion from anyone?
Yeah, I'd be glad to make a motion to accept it with the lot tie, what is that, 7.11 and
Pages 3 and 4.
7.12?
Page 3 and 4.
Oh,
Or
page
2, 3, and 4.
2, 3, and 4, yeah, 2, 3, and 4, page.
I second.
I'd make a motion for that.
Okay, we have a motion from Mr. Black, a second. All in favor, any further discussion? No? All in favor?
Aye.
Any against?
Mr. Chairman, does that include a possible amendment to the fee schedule?
Yes.
Can I get that
Yes,
stated into the
yeah,
record, please?
it would.
Can I get another motion? Include the
okay.
fee schedule?
Yeah, I was just looking at that,
Do you need another motion for that?
On this page.
there's the
Amend his
page.
motion.
You want to amend your motion to include that?
Do you prefer an amendment or a new motion for the
I'll
fee
just
schedule?
amend my motion to reflect that, the fee schedule
Fee schedule,
as recommended.
We have an amended motion brought up by Mr. Black for his original motion.
Second.
We have a second to the amendment to Mr. Black's original motion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any against, say nay. Okay, motion
Thank you, Mr.
passes
Chairman.
with the fee schedule. All right, item number 11, request to initiate text amendment to zoning ordinance to create a dark sky overlay district and amend the official. We want it darker? It's already dark enough. We're not Tucson. Why?
They want lights, they can move the city.
They don't want tire shops and they don't want lights now.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, staff has drafted language to adopt a new section to the ordinance, which would be the dark sky overlay district. The proposed changes to the zoning ordinance have been presented to the Board of Supervisors, and the board directed staff to forward the changes to the Planning and Zoning Commission to initiate an amendment to the zoning ordinance. The proposed changes to the zoning ordinance, which would be to adopt the dark sky overlay district, the intent is to have the dark sky overlay district apply to a certain area of the county, not the entire county. And that area of the county would be from Foothills Boulevard to the eastern boundary of Yuma County, and would also include Martinez Lake. Your packet has the information in bold font, which is the new language that will be added to the zoning ordinance for your review.
Who brought this up again? Whose idea was this? The supervisors wanted this, or staff recommended it?
Mr. Chairman, the staff did originally propose a dark sky regulations back in 2006 when the zoning ordinance was originally amended. However, at that time, the proposed changes to the zoning ordinance were not adopted by the Board of Supervisors.
Chairman, can I ask a question of staff?
Staff was asked by one of the board members or by a couple of the board members, Board of Supervisors, to reopen the discussion on the dark sky ordinance, and the result of those discussions is what is before you tonight.
Someone asked to reopen this thing. Okay, go ahead, sir.
So we've done community outreach on this?
Chairman, community outreach has not taken place. Like I said, this is simply a request to initiate the amendment. If it's initiated, staff will publish a display ad in the newspaper, which will give the public an opportunity to make comments on the proposed amendment to the zoning ordinance.
So, Maggie,
However, if the
excuse me.
amendment is initiated tonight, changes will not be able to be made unless the process restarts.
Mr. Chairman, one question for Maggie. Now, does this not affect, it only affects the foothills to the east, correct?
The portion of the county from Foothills Boulevard East,
And the Martinez Lake area?
yes.
So it doesn't affect the Mesa in District 4, so I don't really have anything to say about that.
But, so, you know, I'm probably behind on this and missed something, but have these communities had the opportunity to hear that this was coming down the pipe? Or are we just going to make them come here to hear it for the first time?
I think before, I remember the hearing back then, and we had opposition, especially specific with arena lights and some things like that. I mean, there was a lot of heated discussion.
Yeah, I
You
must have
remember
missed
that?
it. No, I don't, but
No, I do.
that's not a
Because-
uncommon thing anymore.
Yeah. So, but since it's not included in the Mesa area, I don't have an issue.
But, okay, so the idea is to initiate, what is it, initiate or?
Amendment?
Text amendment, and it goes to the public for discussion, to see if anyone has any issues. Now, when you say from Foothills Boulevard to the east, does that include does the people that are on Foothills Boulevard get grandfathered in for any light issues if this changes, or?
I mean, anything that's existing would be grandfathered or would be non-conforming. So unless changes are made or new lighting fixtures are installed in anything that's on a building or a use that's already in place, they can continue to have the lighting that they have.
Pre-existing non-conforming?
I see, my concern there, the reason I asked that, because Foothills Boulevard has a lot of potential for commercial add-on. I would say this wouldn't be from Foothills Boulevard to the east. I would say it would be 100, 200 feet inside Foothills Boulevard to the east, because otherwise you're messing with I don't know if I'm thinking of this right or wrong. It's gonna affect the commercial for any potential new signage on Foothills Boulevard, if they're on Foothills Boulevard.
They've already had some things like the mini mart there was required to do all downward aimed lighting, just because the residents were
The
vocal.
residents in the foothills area have always kind of supported the dark sky.
Yeah, they
I
do.
mean,
They
they've always
have.
put street lights and, I've got my steel out there. We want the dark.
All right.
But,
right.
Mr.
Okay.
Chairman, I move that we initiate the amendment as presented by staff.
Second. Motion, have a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anybody against? All right. Motion passes. Item number 12, discussion by commission members and planning of directors of current events attended or to be attended or for future planning and commission meetings. I say we move November 24, 2020 and cancel that meeting. Any other discussions?
I think you have to schedule one just in case, as Danny predicts, the economy picks up and.
It's going to be booming in November next year.
27th, and then one on December 15th, not even 15 days apart.
Mr. Chairman, is that a motion to cancel the November meeting in 2020?
Get a motion, or we just give direction?
We can vote on it.
Yeah, you can make a
You
motion.
guys love voting.
But you can always schedule one for the 17th and cancel it if there's nothing on the agenda.
For the 24th, you mean?
17th, a week early.
Move it if you moved it to the 17th. And then the other one,
You're
We
gonna have one
could-
on October 27th, 10
We
days
could
later?
move it at this time.
you can move it at this time and then it,
Leave it as is and cancel
and
it.
then she can determine if there's enough to have 2 meetings.
Whatever you guys want to do.
And then the other one you have is May 26th is the day after Memorial Day.
Could we move that one
Oh,
forward?
but people might be traveling and
Yeah, Memorial Day, yeah. Yes, I have a family reunion on Memorial Day, so.
would we want to put that on the 19th?
Can we do that the 19th and then move the November's till 17th? And is everyone okay with that?
Can always be changed.
So May 19th, 2020 is what you guys are voting for, and November 17th? Okay.
Mr. Chairman, can I have another item of discussion that with staff that perhaps we might want to look at? In our special use permits,
I didn't say yes.
oh, sorry. I'll wait.
All right, Ms. Ryan.
It'll be quick.
I should have to be in St. Louis
It'll
by
be-
7:30, so okay. Danny.
It'll be quick.
All right, go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, in our temporary use permits that we dealt with tonight a little bit for events, they also offer opportunities in that section for temporary living in RVs on residential lots during construction and stuff. I looked at our form that's used because it's created a bit of problem out in our district because we allow a temporary use for a RV that violates deed restrictions in some communities. And I was wondering what process we could use to amend our application for a temporary use permit that would state in there that this does not, the application for this permit and approval thereof does not mean that your deed restrictions are null and void, or the use of this might violate deed restrictions, and you should check those before you pay your $350 to get a temporary use permit, and then have the neighbor sue you because you're violating the deed restrictions.
Or HOAs, you're talking about HOAs or, yeah, exactly.
No, CCNRs.
CCNRs, yeah.
Would be the best method to try to notify people that just because they get a temporary use permit, it doesn't null and void deed restrictions.
Mr. Chairman, I can talk to legal counsel about possibly putting a disclaimer on the, our application to the effect that Commissioner
Don't promote me.
Brian brought up, and I can either
Bring
send
it-
that in an email or bring it up at our next meeting.
Yeah, either one would work. It just seems that that's created some problems recently in our District 3 out there. And if we had a way of notifying folks that, hey, the county number, and that's a second question, can the county check and see if it violates deed restrictions and notify the people, or should we just put them on notice? And that's another thing you can ask legal counsel.
Well, Mr. Chairman, staff doesn't have these restrictions for all subdivisions. So we do have some subdivisions where we have deed restrictions on file. However, unless the property owners make a public records request, the county does not enforce, or Planning and Zoning Division does not enforce deed restrictions. So it would be up to them to,
It'll be up to them. You could still issue the permit, but
Yes.
we're just trying to make them aware that they don't
Makes sense.
spend $350 and then have the neighbor
Your homework
say, we're
first.
going to get a cease and desist order.
On another note, I am totally against special use permits. It just violates the zoning law. That's all it does.
It's a zoning by another name. yeah.
It's a zoning by another name. That's what it is.
So you can get back with us on that then? Very good.
Mr. Chairman,
He's saying.
we didn't do a motion or a second for the 2020 regular meeting schedule.
I was trying to get to that, but then he brought up his other issue. That's I'm like, okay.
Oh, I didn't know you had to vote on it.
Oh, well, I'll make a motion that
Chairman.
we do the changes.
Mr. Chairman.
Second. Second.
Yeah, it's,
You
now
got
you
it.
got it, okay.
I'll vote aye.
Heidi and
Are we still being fed live to TV? Okay. Hi, everybody. All right. Yeah, we're tired. Yeah. Motion, and we got a motion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any against? All right. Motion passes for those date changes. Even the lights turned off and turned back on. Look at that.
Get your gavel before Danny brings up.
Thank you.